Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Yellowstone's first big death backs up Kayce is dying theory. A closer look at Lee Dutton's Dave Annable death in Yellowstone in the context of the Dutton family tree supports the theory that Kayce Dutton, Luke Grimes, will die in Taylor Sheridan's neo-Western epic. The connection is sobering after Yellowstone foreshadowed Kayce's death in Season 5, Episode 12. Things are coming to a head for the Duttons as they round out Yellowstone's fifth chapter. The second half of Yellowstone Season 5 experienced production delays, but Sheridan planned its ending from the start. Thus, the series' first Dutton death of the five-season saga may foreshadow its last tragedy. Kayce has a more active role in Yellowstone Season 5, Part 2, starting with his father's unexpected death. While Kayce, Monica, Kelsey Asbill, and Tate, Brecken Merrill were settling in a house on the Dutton Ranch, the father had distanced himself from his family's affairs. However, after Kevin Costner's John Dutton IE meets his fate, Kayce takes an active role in his murder investigation, while he chooses not to murder the man responsible for his father's death in Episode 12, opting to count coup. Kayce is dangerously positioned as Yellowstone Season 5 concludes. The first milestone in a long line of Dutton tragedies is Lee's death in the Yellowstone series premiere. Lee accompanies his father, a convoy of law enforcement, and cowboys to take back their cattle from Thomas Rainwater, Gil Birmingham. As Lee and the others storm the Broken Rock tribe to take back their cattle, things turn violent and a gunfight ensues. Ultimately, the Yellowstone Dutton Ranch convoy retreats its cattle. However, the eldest Dutton challenges the tribe members on the scene, causing Monica's older brother, Robert Long, Jeremiah Bitsu, to shoot and kill him. Kayce gets entangled in the start of the range war as he is rounding up cattle for the Broken Rock tribe, which includes his wife and son. Upon witnessing Lee's death, Kayce shoots Monica's brother to protect himself. The youngest Dutton then carefully walks his brother's body back to the ranch on horseback. Thus, Lee's death marks the beginning of Kayce's reemergence at the Yellowstone Dutton Ranch. The event is divisive, turning a simple dispute over cattle into an all-out range war for the ranch, setting up the narrative arc for Yellowstone and its spin-offs. As Sheridan expanded his neo-Western empire after Yellowstone began, the additional stories clarified that Lee's death is just a part of the ranch's history and the sacrifices made to maintain it. Specifically, Sheridan has a way of leaving a single child alive in the clans of the rich Dutton family tree. In 1883, Elsa Isabel May meets a tragic, defining fate, leaving Audie Rick's John Dutton I as the only surviving child of James, Tim McGraw, and Margaret, Faith Hill, Dutton. While John survives and the parents have another child, tragedy follows the Duttons into the Great Depression. James and Margaret had Spencer before Brandon Sklenar played the character in the cast of 1923. Still, his brother, James Badge Dale's John, dies in 1923 Season 1, Episode 3, The War Has Come Home, which leaves Spencer as the only surviving son of James and Margaret. John Dutton IE's father, Dabney Coleman's John Dutton II, continues the trend since he has no known siblings. Even Costner's John Dutton IE was an only child. His brother Peter died as a baby, noted in Yellowstone when John E. died and again when Monica and Kayce's son, John IV, died. The drama of one remaining Dutton per generation dominates every Yellowstone story. It only makes sense that Season 5, Part 2, would continue the trend, and if it does, only one Dutton sibling can remain. Considering Tate's conversation with his father about his death in Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 12, Kayce might not survive the series. The development would single out Kelly Riley's Beth as the last of a generation, solidifying the trend for the next. Since Beth can't have children of her own, Kayce's death would leave Tate as the only seventh-generation heir to the family's legacy. Tragedy surrounds the lives of the Duttons in Yellowstone. Sheridan's existing 1883 and 1923 stories prove that the screenwriter makes a habit of leaving minimal Duttons surviving to pass on the family's legacy, upping the stakes and drama. Therefore, Kayce would top off all the other untimely deaths in Yellowstone Season 5. Kayce and Lee's deaths could serve as bookends to the series, potentially marking the beginning and end of the family's modern range war. The loss of John's youngest son would make for a tragic ending, but considering Elsa's death and 1883's ending, it would be thematically expected. There's even buzz that Sklinner's war-torn Spencer dies at the end of 1923 Season 2, further suggesting that the Dutton family trends back up Kayce's impending demise. Ultimately, it feels somewhat obvious when zooming out and looking at the entirety of the Dutton family curse. Kayce's death would leave Tate as the only possible blood-related Dutton to continue the family's legacy, exacerbated by the untimely death of his infant brother, John Dutton IV, in Yellowstone Season 5. The curse could also finally end with the family losing the ranch, as they shed the danger of protecting it. The rugged mountains and vast plains of Yellowstone National Park set the stage for an increasingly tense and unpredictable season. But in this particular moment, the show took an unexpected turn, weaving together multiple plot lines in such a way that fans couldn't ignore the theory that had been circulating for months. Kayce Dutton is dying. Season after season, the Dutton family has been tested by loss, violence, and the brutal realities of their lives. However, this death, one that seemed inevitable yet shocking, brought the theory to the forefront more than ever before. The death wasn't just a casualty of the ranch or an unlucky twist of fate. It had a deeper emotional impact that would leave the Duttons forever changed. It all started with a figure that had become central to the Dutton family legacy, Chief Thomas Rainwater. For the past several seasons, Rainwater's tenuous relationship with the Duttons had been one of uneasy alliances and heated confrontations. The battle over land, power, and legacy had divided them. But there was one thing they had in common: their deep connection to the land. When the first big death of the season occurred, it was not Rainwater who fell, though his life was at risk during a series of confrontations. Instead, the death was one that had a profound ripple effect on everyone involved, particularly Kayce Dutton. Kayce's journey this season had already been a somber one. From his struggles with PTSD and the emotional scars of his time as a Navy SEAL, to the growing tension with his father John Dutton, Kayce was slowly unraveling. His relationship with his wife, Monica, had also taken a toll after the birth of their son Tate and the recent loss of his brother Lee. The emotional weight was too much for one man to carry, and fans were left wondering whether his internal battle would lead to something more significant: a symbolic death, a metaphor for the dying spirit of the Dutton family. But as it happened, the death that many thought would come for Kayce didn't. Instead, it was someone who had been a consistent source of emotional turmoil for Kayce: his father, John Dutton, who was unexpectedly taken by the ruthless political game they had been playing for years. As John Dutton's life slipped away, a subtle shift began to unfold. The weight of his passing seemed to release Kayce from some invisible burden. But with John's death came the realization that the Dutton family's grip on the ranch was slipping, and that the ruthless battle for control over the land would only intensify. In many ways, the loss of John Dutton was symbolic of the loss of the family's grip on the past. His death was not just a loss of a patriarch, but also a loss of an era. Kayce had always been the one who seemed most attuned to the spiritual undercurrents of the world, and in the wake of his father's death, his own personal conflict began to intensify. More than ever, his internal battle seemed like it would consume him. What had started as a simple theory, Kayce Dutton might be dying, suddenly felt like a prophecy coming true. His struggles, both physical and emotional, seemed to be pushing him toward a breaking point. Each episode seemed to set the stage for his eventual collapse. In the aftermath of the big death, Kayce began to retreat further into himself. His interactions with Monica became colder, his moments of reflection more intense. The man who once fought for his family, for the legacy of the Dutton name, was now questioning everything he had believed in. He wasn't just fighting for the ranch anymore, he was fighting for something much more personal: his very existence.